how to capitalize on your journey. So the last 10 months I've invested 10k into mentorship and courses, and what I've learned are soft skills, sales skills, mentorship, and got along with a bunch of people on the internet. But one thing that I noticed when going through these courses and mentorship is that it's putting away your authenticity, or what sets you apart. And the thing about leveraging authenticity and making you set yourself apart from everybody else on the internet is that you're only competing against yourself. If someone tries to copy you, you're the one winning. Only if you know what you're talking about, and only if you can execute on a skill, or you have some piece of knowledge that is going to benefit the internet or the market if you're in business. One thing I started to think about is entrepreneurship. It's just another word for risk takers. So if you're saying you're into entrepreneurship, you're into risk taking. And the thing that's different about a risk versus chances is that you're calculating things that could potentially go wrong and then reiterating those things to make sure the risk goes down. Whereas a chance is that you're just guessing. That's the closest word that I can think about when it comes to guessing or chance. But with an entrepreneur, you don't hear them take chances. You hear them take risk because they have been calculated. So if you're saying that you're an entrepreneur, you're by default choosing to take risk. And the difference between an entrepreneur and a business person is that an entrepreneur, I'd say, is someone that is just starting things out, who's willing to take on risk. So when you get a DM from an outbound random person asking for lead generation or some type of service, if you don't hear them offering some kind of risk that they're willing to take on board for your business, and when I mean, my definition of business is you're serving a piece of the market and getting some kind of capital in return. Whether it's good or bad, you're running it, hence meaning that you've got customers going, you're paying for some type of expense in return for capital. Essentially, with business, you're turning $1 into $3. There's a component of investing, but you've at the point where you're taking less risk because you found out what's the winner. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, you have to keep taking risk until you hit it big. So I was listening to a podcast with Naval Ravikant, and he was talking about why people are doing entrepreneurship in the first place, and why you shouldn't be following people like myself who are giving you advice, or anyone who's paying for a course, because what they're giving you is their lottery number. And what he means by the lottery number is that certain circumstances, methods, and strategies could work for them. They'll turn it into a course and they'll sell it. I, for one, am guilty for that heaps, because one, I know nothing, so might as well try to leapfrog the whole process and learn from someone else. To some extent, that does help, but if they're selling more than one course, and most likely at least 100 to pull a profit, you've got at least 100 participants in the exact same game that you're competing in. And ultimately, you have to go to where you are at the start, authenticity, because that's going to separate you from the market and from the competition. Yes, you can be providing the same skills like sales, marketing, or service like coding. Coding, I've now realized that it's talking to robots. Coding is learning the language of how robots speak and then executing an action, and ultimately building web apps and doing any kind of iOS apps as well. So that is a version of leverage, because if you can leverage the language of Python, TypeScript, you're making robots work. And the cool thing about robots is that they'll work in your sleep. So that's a version of compounding and leveraging that I generally feel like a lot of people that are doing code are excelling a lot. Hence why I got really interested into no code, because I like to think that I can learn this in the next 6 to 12 months and I can be pretty proficient. But the thing is, I hate waiting and I hate suffering. but I need to accept it, because ultimately it's freedom that we're all looking for. And if you can get freedom through means of finances, you're going to tick off the box from one thing, and then you can really, I truly feel like freedom really is discovering more of yourself, because once you hit the financial freedom, you can really understand what you're all about. And what I mean what you're all about is that you don't have to rent out your time to anybody else. So that's it for me today. Just a monologue that I really wanted to share about whether or not you should be investing in courses, and how far can you get without a course. And ultimately, if you are not going for a course, make a community, a free community where you're learning and making friends more than paying for something. I'll catch you later.